Hey guys, so today I'm hanging out at my sister's pool here in Houston, Texas on another gorgeous day here. Just figured while I'm relaxing in the shade, trying to spend a little bit of extra time with her before I depart for Vietnam, that I'd take a few minutes and touch base with you guys again. It kind of hit home as soon as I made my deposit for my TESOL training course, the certification program that I'm going to be attending in Ho Chi Minh City. Once I made that deposit and booked my flight, at that point, it became very real very quick. So the first thing that I can tell you is I am super excited. In fact, I'm so pumped that now I'm spending a good portion of my nights watching and rewatching every YouTube video or blog posted video that I can find out there from people who've gone before me, not only to Vietnam to teach English, but all across Southeast Asia. I guess I'm doing that partly out of the excitement and wanting to see more of it firsthand, but I'm also doing it out of due diligence. You know, the more I look, every time even when I rewatch these posts from teachers abroad, I always learn something new, something that I didn't think of. They might mention a pro or a con that hadn't occurred to me. And oftentimes they inspire me to do something that I had not yet done. So I can't tell you how grateful I am to all the people out there who've taken the time to share a little bit of their experience and to offer a little bit of advice or information for those who are considering teaching English abroad. I have to say, in my situation, their videos have probably been the number one resource for my research and for my level of comfort in making this decision myself. So my hopes are that eventually my own video experiences will do the same for someone else. And you know, the way I look at it, if one person out there who's considering this as the next chapter in their life finds something of value in anything that I share, then it's worth the effort. So, you know, you'll have to bear with me as my videography skills improve. I'm literally brand new to this whole concept of blogging and vlogging. You'd think as a published author that I'd be blogging all the time, but that's just not the case. I go through other marketing and advertising methodologies, but anyway, yeah, I'm fairly new to the concept, so I'm trying my best to get my personal experience shared for my own reasons as well as to help others. For me personally, just writing things down or repeating them or posting them in my blog or creating a video just reinforces my own decisions and my own process and preparation. So it's a benefit to me as well. But like I said, hopefully long term, one of you out there will find something of interest that I've said that helps you make your own decision. So anyway, before I jump into what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, I'll show you I'm wearing my Star Wars shirt today with Solo, the next chapter in the saga, about to be released here soon. I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, so quick brief shout out to the Star Wars empire. So anyway, that said, let's get into the video. So what's changed for me? Well, time is going by faster and faster. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I am so thankful that I began this whole process relatively early. As I mentioned before in my blogs, I made this decision about 3 months ago, and we're now coming up on the end of the first week in May. So had I waited any longer, I feel certain I would have been overwhelmed, because just with the amount of research I've had to do over the past 3 months to determine what country I'm going to go to, what certification program I'm going to attend, what I'm going to need to bring with me as far as documentation and things of that nature, it's been fairly overwhelming. And like I said, now, with the plans really starting to settle in, time is seeming, shorter and shorter. So as of today, I've got just under 2 months before my flight out of the country. And in my situation, I've decided to arrive about a little less than a week prior to class start date. And the reason I'm going that route is I want a little bit of time to assimilate from jet lag and to get comfortable in the area where I'm going to be at before I get into the hardcore studying. This is the program I've signed up for is a 150-hour certification course in a 4-week period. A little less, a couple days less than 4 weeks total. But the point there is, once it begins, it's going to be fairly intense. I'm going to be in class several hours out of the day. In the evenings, I'm probably going to be working on my studies, any reports or lesson plans or documentation that I need to prepare for the next class. So I want to be clear of mind. I want to be on a good sleep pattern, and I want to be ready to study as if this were, any other college course that I might be taking. So that's why I'm leaving a little bit early. But again, that said, it puts me at this point just under 2 months from time of travel. And although I've made my decisions on country and city, so Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and my decision on school, and in my situation, I'm going through AVSC, which is the Australian Vietnam School of English, through Ninja Teachers program. They have an association with them, and I decided after researching it in depth that AVSC seemed the best school for my situation, and going through Ninja Teacher seemed a way without an added expense to add to my support system over there, just to have other instructors of the certification, other people who've been through the certification and are currently teaching, just to have a larger community of that support base at no additional cost is why I ultimately decided, I'll go through Ninja Teacher to attend AVSC in Ho Chi Minh City. So with that locked into place, now the real work begins. Like I just mentioned, booking the flight was a big factor, and deciding, even things as simple as deciding, how early do I go? And if you are going to go early, you have considerations to think about. With this particular course, the accommodations during the course are provided by the school. However, if I show up a week early or 2 weeks early, that time is on me to find my own accommodations. And so that's another thing to take into consideration. I haven't made a final decision on that yet, as Ninja Teacher in association with the AVSC school actually offers an opportunity where you can arrive early and pay a little extra to stay in the accommodations you're going to eventually be provided during your course. So that sounds really good because it means one less move once I get out there. If I stay in the same accommodations prior to class start that I'm going to be in once class starts, I don't have to change hotels, I don't have to pack up, I don't have to deal with that hassle. But like I said, I haven't made the final decision on that yet. I need to look at the cost. I need to look at hotel availability in the area. And over the course of the next few days, that's yet another decision that I need to finalize, because I need to get payment out to lock in either a hotel room or early accommodations from the school. And again, once again, I've said this before, but I'm gonna touch on it again. The more, in my opinion, the more that you can do up front, the more that you can get addressed before you ever board that plane, the better you're setting yourself up for success and for less stress and hassle once you arrive in country. So I believe in trying to do everything that you possibly can way before departure. So as I said, 2 months left. That's one issue that I'm gonna have to deal with, is my pre-class accommodations once in country. So that's definitely on my plate right now. Also on my plate, This week I go into the dentist. I'm going to have a permanent crown placed and a full cleaning and checkup to make sure, my dental issues are well at hand before I leave. I've already had multiple doctor's appointments, and I have more scheduled to go to. I've mentioned this before. I think health is a huge concern. So before I leave, I want to have all the medications that I'm going to be needing. I want to have all my checkups out of the way. I want to be current on my eye exam. Have an ample supply of contact lenses, disposable lenses. I wear the monthlies. So I want to have that on hand, at least to cover the first 6 months or more. And like I said, the same goes for my medications. I don't want to scramble over there to try and figure out where to go to get prescriptions granted and filled, and just have everything done before you leave that you can possibly get done. So for me right now, finishing up these final doctor's appointment visits, the dentist, the vision exam, all of those things, those are high on my list of to-dos. On top of that, I'm dealing with things like the visa. At this point, it's time for me to make a final decision on which approach I'm going to go with that. And there's many, and they depend on your location, your country of exit, and your country of entry. But in my situation, I'm looking at, as I believe I mentioned before, I'm looking at doing the visa on arrival, which means here in the next few days, I'm going to have to go online to a site like VietnamVisaPro.net, for example, is fairly reputable from what I've read, to pay a small fee. I believe with them it's about $20 to get the approval letter for entry. And then, of course, I have to make sure that I have all the proper immigration forms pre-filled, along with my approval letter and ready to go once I enter. And in that scenario, the U.S. traveling to Vietnam on the visa on arrival option, I'll be seeking the 1-year tourist visa initially, which requires an exit from the country every 3 months. You can go through other options. Business visa is even a potential option once you gain employment, but for this initial phase, while I'm attending class, seems the best route to do for me. So I'll get that approval letter taken care of here in the next few days. And like I said, have all the required documents pre-filled out. And then when I arrive in country, at the immigration station, they'll review my documents, and provided everything's good to go, they'll stamp my visa for, I believe in my circumstance, it's like an $120, $125 stamping fee once I've arrived. And then, of course, 3 months into my stay there, I'll have to work out a brief exit and re-entry to get, my visa re-stamped. So, or at that point, if I have a job position, I may seek the work permit route and the business visa, and not have to do those quote-unquote visa runs in and out of country. So that's another major factor for me right now that I really need to get underway in the next few days so that I can make sure that's processed in time. Another major factor is my FBI background check. Of course, most countries for entry and employment are going to require some form of a background check. For me, in my situation, that's a full federal background check. Now, that's not that expensive. I think in total I'm going to be paying about $50 to get that done. But it is yet another process that ahead of the curve I need to get dealt with. It requires going in to a service to be fingerprinted, and then filling out an application that will be sent along with the fingerprints to the FBI. And then, of course, they require time for processing and mailing. And so I need that addressed so that I can have it in hand prior to leaving.